Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the UES Prometheus, watching the swirling blue-green marble of Earth grow smaller in the viewport. 300 ships of the hidden Terran Defense Fleet moved silently through the void behind her flagship, their hulls gleaming with technology that the Galactic Council had never seen. For 70 years, humanity had played the role of the weak newcomer, the species that barely qualified for membership in the galactic community. Today, that charade would end. The communication array crackled to life, and the familiar voice of Admiral Marcus Rivera filled the bridge. His ship, the UES Leviathan, commanded the 2nd Battle Group 3,000 kilometers to starboard. Sarah, we're receiving final confirmation from Earth Command. Operation Revelation is approved for immediate execution. Chen nodded to her communications officer. Signal the fleet. We proceed as planned. She turned to face the bridge crew, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment while the galaxy remained oblivious to their existence. Today, we show them who we really are. The story began decades ago, when humanity first made contact with the Galactic Council. The massive space station that served as the Council's headquarters had dwarfed Earth's primitive vessels, and the representatives from hundreds of worlds had looked upon humans with barely concealed contempt. Ambassador Elena Vasquez remembered that first meeting vividly. The Zephyrian delegate had actually laughed when Earth requested membership, calling humans another primitive species that thinks combustion engines make them spacefaring. But Earth's leaders had learned something valuable that day. They saw how the Council treated species they considered weak. The Korthani mining worlds, stripped bare by stronger civilizations. The peaceful Melonians, forced to give up their artistic culture to serve as laborers. The proud Vakari, once a spacefaring empire, now reduced to providing cheap soldiers for Council conflicts. Strength was everything in galactic politics, and perception of weakness was a death sentence. So Earth had played weak. They submitted to the Council's demands, accepted the restrictions placed on their technology, and allowed themselves to be seen as useful but harmless. Human diplomats learned to look frustrated when denied access to advanced technology. Human scientists appeared grateful for scraps of knowledge that other species shared. Human merchants seemed pleased with the unfavorable trade agreements forced upon them. Behind the scenes, however, Earth's brightest minds worked in secret facilities hidden in asteroid belts and on the dark side of moons. They reverse-engineered every piece of alien technology they could acquire through legal and illegal means. They studied the weaknesses of every Council species while pretending to admire their strengths. Most importantly, they built ships. Hundreds of them, in shipyards that existed in the deep reaches of the solar system where no Council patrol would ever think to look. Dr. James Wu had been one of the lead engineers on the project. His breakthrough came when he realized that human brains processed multiple types of thinking simultaneously in ways that other species could not replicate. While the Zephyrians excelled at logical analysis and the Korthani were masters of pattern recognition, humans could do both while also engaging in creative problem-solving and emotional intuition. This meant human-designed computers could handle complexity that made alien systems crash. The secret ships used this advantage in every system. Human vessels could coordinate attacks involving thousands of variables while alien fleets required simplified commands to avoid overwhelming their crews. Human weapons could adapt their targeting in real time while alien systems followed predetermined patterns. Human shields could redistribute energy based on damage assessment that would take other species several minutes to calculate. Chen remembered the day they completed the first prototype. The UES Phantom had outmaneuvered 6 different alien ship designs in simulation battles, defeating each one using tactics that their crews couldn't predict or counter. The ship's artificial intelligence, modeled on human neural networks, had actually started developing new strategies mid-battle, something that terrified most alien species who preferred predictable patterns. The bridge communications officer interrupted her thoughts. Admiral, we're receiving the Council's standard patrol query. They want to know why we have vessels moving beyond the assigned human territories. Chen smiled. Tell them we're conducting a joint exercise with our Melanian allies. Reference permit number 77 Alpha, issued 3 months ago. The permit was real, filed through proper channels after careful diplomatic work. It authorized 20 human vessels to participate in defensive maneuvers. The Council monitors would see exactly 20 ships on their sensors, because that's what humanity wanted them to see. Meanwhile, the other 280 ships remained invisible, hidden behind the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy. Human engineers had studied how Council sensors worked and built systems specifically designed to fool them. The hidden ships could maintain formation while appearing to be empty space, asteroid debris, or sensor echoes. Captain Lisa Rodriguez commanded one of those invisible vessels, the UES Shadow Strike. Her crew of 30 specialists had spent 5 years perfecting the art of combat stealth. They could fire weapons without revealing their position, launch fighters that appeared to materialize from nothing, and coordinate with other invisible ships through quantum communication networks that Council science said were impossible. Captain, her tactical officer reported, we're picking up increased Council fleet movement near the Nexus station. Looks like they're preparing for some kind of large gathering. Rodriguez nodded. Intelligence had predicted this. The Council was planning to announce new restrictions on human activities, probably including limits on ship construction and mandatory technology sharing agreements. They intended to formally reduce humanity to vassal status, like so many other species before them. The timing was perfect for Earth's revelation. The human fleet moved through space in perfect coordination, each ship knowing exactly where it needed to be when the moment came. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display showing their progress toward the Council's massive headquarters station. In 6 hours, they would arrive at the Nexus and request permission to address the full Council assembly. The aliens expected another submissive human delegation begging for favorable trade terms or relaxed restrictions. Instead, they would face the combined might of Earth's secret armada. Commander David Park led the fighter squadrons from his modified carrier, the UES Stormwind. His pilots flew craft that looked like standard human interceptors but performed like nothing the Council had ever encountered. Human reflexes, enhanced by neural interface technology, allowed for maneuvers that would kill alien pilots. The fighters could change direction, speed, and attack patterns faster than alien point defense systems could track. Squadron leaders, this is Park, he announced over the encrypted channel. Remember, we're not here to start a war. We're here to end one before it begins. Show them what human aerospace engineering can really accomplish. His pilots acknowledged the order with quiet professionalism. Each one had trained for this moment since childhood, knowing they carried the hopes of their entire species. They would demonstrate that humanity was not the weak, dependent civilization the Council believed them to be. Dr. Amanda Foster monitored the fleet's electronic warfare systems from the intelligence ship UES Raven. Her team had spent decades learning how Council communication networks functioned, mapping every relay, every encryption method, every emergency protocol. When the moment came, they could take control of the entire Nexus station's information systems while making it look like a simple software update. All countermeasures ready, she reported to Admiral Chen. We can control their sensors, their communications, and their defense systems whenever you give the word. They won't be able to call for help, and they won't be able to see us coming until we want them to. The human fleet continued its steady approach, following shipping lanes and established routes that would seem completely normal to casual observers. Chen reviewed the intelligence reports one final time. The Council assembly would include representatives from all major species, plus several dozen client races. Perfect. Every significant power in the galaxy would witness humanity's true capabilities. Ambassador Vasquez had prepared for this moment as well. She waited aboard the diplomatic vessel UES Harmony, surrounded by evidence of human achievements that the Council had never been allowed to see. Scientific breakthroughs that surpassed anything in galactic civilization. Artistic works that demonstrated human creativity. Historical records proving that humanity had been building starships longer than many Council species had been spacefaring. Elena, Admiral Chen's voice came through the secure channel, are you ready to give them a history lesson? Vasquez smiled grimly. More than ready, Sarah. They're about to learn that underestimating humans was the biggest mistake they ever made. The fleet moved closer to its destination, each ship a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The crews knew they carried the weight of their species' future. For 70 years, humanity had been patient, had accepted insults and restrictions while building strength in secret. The galaxy saw them as primitive newcomers who barely qualified for membership in galactic civilization. They were about to discover that humans had been underestimated before, and that humanity's greatest strength had always been their ability to adapt, overcome, and surprise those who thought they knew what humans could accomplish. The UES Prometheus led the formation toward the Council's seat of power, where representatives from across the galaxy would soon learn that Earth's membership in their organization had never been about seeking protection or guidance. It had been about gathering intelligence, learning weaknesses, and preparing for the day when humanity would take its rightful place among the stars. That day had finally arrived, and Admiral Chen intended to make sure the galaxy would never forget it. The Nexus station hung in space like a massive metallic flower, its 12 arms extending outward from the central hub where the Galactic Council conducted the business of ruling thousands of worlds. Each arm housed different species delegations, with the most powerful civilizations occupying the positions closest to the core. Humanity's assigned quarters sat at the end of the smallest arm, a location that made the Council's opinion of Earth's importance abundantly clear. Chancellor Thrace of the Hegemony stood in the Central Assembly Hall, reviewing the agenda for today's session. The tall, reptilian being had ruled the Council for 30 years, maintaining order among species that ranged from crystalline entities to gaseous clouds. Today's business included the formal vote on Resolution 847, which would place severe limitations on human technological development and require regular inspections of all Earth facilities. The humans should be grateful, muttered Councillor Vex, the Zephyrian Trade Minister. His insectoid features twisted with amusement. We're preventing them from making the same mistakes that destroyed lesser species. Better to keep them as useful servants than let them stumble into technologies they can't handle. Across the hall, Councillor Yith of the Korthani Mining Consortium nodded agreement. Her rocky, crystalline form glowed with satisfaction. The resolution will ensure steady supplies of rare earth minerals from their system. Human labor is surprisingly efficient when properly directed. Chancellor Thrace raised his hand for silence as the session began. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the amphitheater, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes that represented the diversity of galactic civilization. Today would mark another step in the careful management of a promising but primitive species. The main display showed the approach of human vessels, exactly 20 ships as specified in their exercise permit. The Council's sensors detected nothing unusual, no weapons signatures beyond standard defensive systems, no technological anomalies that would suggest treaty violations. Everything appeared normal. Today we address the future of human integration into galactic society, Thrace announced, his voice translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. Ambassador Vasquez of Earth has requested permission to address this assembly before we vote on Resolution 847. I see no reason to deny this courtesy. In the human delegation area, Ambassador Elena Vasquez rose gracefully. She had served as Earth's primary representative for 15 years, learning to navigate the complex politics of species that viewed humanity as barely civilized newcomers. Her diplomatic skills had kept Earth's secrets safe while gathering invaluable intelligence about Council weaknesses and political divisions. Honored Chancellor, distinguished delegates, she began, her words carrying the formal tone required by Council protocol. I come before you today to speak about humanity's place in this great community of worlds. For 70 years, my species has learned much from your wisdom and guidance. Several delegates nodded approvingly. The humans knew their place and showed proper respect for their superiors. This would be another routine session where the primitive species acknowledged their limitations and accepted the Council's generous oversight. Vasquez continued, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what was about to unfold. We have learned about galactic law, about trade and diplomacy, about the technologies that connect our worlds. Most importantly, we have learned about the strength that comes from unity among diverse peoples. Unknown to the assembled delegates, human electronic warfare specialists had been quietly infiltrating the station's computer networks for the past hour. Dr. Amanda Foster's team worked from their hidden ship, using access codes gathered through decades of careful espionage. Every sensor, every communication system, every defensive protocol was being systematically compromised. We are grateful for the opportunity to contribute to galactic civilization, Vasquez said, her diplomatic smile never wavering. Earth has always believed that actions speak louder than words. Today, we would like to show you exactly what humanity can contribute to our shared future. Chancellor Thrace's expression showed mild interest. Perhaps the humans had developed some new mining technique or agricultural method that would prove useful. Several delegates checked their personal devices, only half listening to what they assumed would be another tedious human presentation. Computer, display tactical formation Alpha 7, Vasquez said quietly, activating a concealed transmitter in her ceremonial bracelet. The main display flickered, then, showed something that made every delegate in the assembly hall freeze in shock. Instead of 20 human vessels, the sensors now revealed 300 ships arranged in perfect battle formation around the Nexus station. The massive fleet had appeared from nowhere, as if materializing from empty space itself. Silence filled the hall as the implications sank in. Humanity had hidden a fleet larger than most Council species could field, had brought it to the very heart of galactic government without detection, and had positioned it with military precision that spoke of decades of planning and preparation. Counselor Vex's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. Impossible. Our sensors would have detected such a force long before it reached the station. Admiral Sarah Chan's image appeared on the display, broadcast from the bridge of the UES Prometheus. The human fleet commander stood in front of a tactical board showing the complete disposition of Council forces throughout the sector. Every ship, every defensive platform, every armed merchant vessel was marked and identified. Honored delegates, Chan said, her tone respectful but unmistakably confident, allow me to introduce Earth's defense fleet. For 70 years, we have been told that humanity lacks the technological sophistication to protect ourselves. Today, we demonstrate that reports of human limitations have been greatly exaggerated. The display shifted to show detailed scans of individual human vessels. The ships bore no resemblance to the primitive craft that Council records indicated humanity possessed. Advanced hull configurations, energy signatures that suggested weapons technology beyond anything in the Galactic database, and defensive systems that seemed to bend sensor readings around them. Captain Rodriguez's stealth destroyer, the UES Shadow Strike, became visible for exactly 10 seconds before vanishing again, demonstrating technology that violated several fundamental principles of Council physics. The message was clear: humanity had not just built ships, they had built ships that could strike without warning from positions their enemies could not detect. Chancellor Thrace found his voice after several moments of stunned silence. This is a clear violation of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Human ship construction is limited to civilian vessels and basic system defense craft. This fleet represents a massive breach of galactic law. Ambassador Vasquez smiled politely. With respect, Chancellor, we have violated no laws. The treaty prohibits the construction of vessels using technologies provided by Council species. Every ship in our fleet was built using purely human innovation. We have developed our capabilities independently, without incorporating so much as a single component of Council origin. Dr. James Wu's research team had spent decades ensuring this legal distinction would hold. Every human vessel used original designs, developed from first principles by human scientists who had learned to think in ways that alien minds found difficult to comprehend. The ships were undeniably human in origin, which meant existing treaties had no jurisdiction over them. The implications rippled through the assembly hall. If humanity could build such vessels independently, what did that say about their technological capabilities? How long had they been deceiving the Council about their true development level? What other surprises might Earth have prepared? Counselor Yitha's crystalline form dimmed as she processed the tactical situation. You dare threaten this assembly with military force? The combined fleets of the Council will crush your upstart species. Chen's expression remained calm. We threaten no one who offers us no threat. However, we are prepared to defend ourselves against any species that believes humanity should remain subordinate to their interests. I believe your own military advisors are currently calculating the odds of successfully engaging our fleet while protecting this station and its inhabitants. The Council's military computers were indeed running those calculations, and the results were disturbing. The human fleet held every tactical advantage, superior positioning, technological superiority, and the element of surprise. Any attempt to engage them would result in massive casualties and likely destruction of the Nexus station itself. But more troubling was the strategic picture emerging from detailed analysis of human ship capabilities. If Earth could field 300 advanced vessels without detection, how many more might exist in the outer regions of their system? How long had humanity been building strength while presenting themselves as dependent clients of galactic civilization? Commander Park's fighter squadrons provided a demonstration, executing maneuvers that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft limitations. The human pilots pulled gravitational forces that should have crushed any living being, turned in arcs that violated standard physics models, and maintained formation cohesion that suggested communication methods beyond Council understanding. Your fighters cannot possibly survive those acceleration profiles, observed Delegate Zamna of the Ethereal Collective, her gaseous form shimmering with confusion. Our science indicates that organic beings cannot endure such forces. Park's voice came through the communication channel, steady despite the extreme maneuvers his craft was performing. Human physiology has certain advantages that Council medical databases have not fully catalogued. We are more adaptable than your scientists assumed. The truth was that human neural interface technology allowed pilots to share the stress of extreme maneuvers with their ship's computer systems, while enhanced reflexes and spatial reasoning gave them advantages in three-dimensional combat that no other known species possessed. Every human pilot was effectively a cyborg, though one created through methods that remained purely terrestrial in origin. Ambassador Vasquez watched the delegates struggle to process the revelation of human capabilities. 70 years of careful deception were being stripped away in a matter of minutes, revealing a species that was not the primitive client they had assumed, but a technological power that had deliberately concealed its strength while learning everything possible about galactic civilization. "The question before us today," she said, her diplomatic voice carrying across the stunned assembly, "is not whether humanity deserves a voice in galactic affairs. The question is whether this council wishes to continue the policies that have driven us to develop our capabilities in secret, or whether you are prepared to accept Earth as an equal partner in shaping our shared future." The human fleet maintained its position around the station, neither advancing nor retreating. 300 ships waited in perfect formation, their crews ready to demonstrate that humanity's patience with subordinate status had finally reached its end. The silence in the council chamber stretched for nearly a minute as delegates processed the magnitude of what they had witnessed. 300 human warships surrounded their seat of government, displaying technology that challenged fundamental assumptions about Earth's capabilities. The species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers had just demonstrated the ability to deceive the entire galactic intelligence community for 7 decades. Counselor Prime Zethran of the Eltarian Empire stood slowly, his golden humanoid form radiating the authority of a species that had ruled star systems for millennia. The Eltarians had been instrumental in founding the Galactic Council and considered themselves the guardians of galactic order. His deep voice carried the weight of ancient authority. "This deception represents more than a violation of treaty obligations," Zethran declared, his words measured and formal. "It demonstrates a fundamental dishonesty that strikes at the foundation of interspecies trust. How can we conduct diplomacy with a species that has systematically lied about its capabilities?" Ambassador Vasquez met his gaze without flinching. She had prepared for this moment, knowing that the Council's response would determine whether humanity's revelation led to peaceful coexistence or immediate warfare. "Counselor Prime, with respect, humanity has been honest about everything we were asked. We answered every question truthfully. The Council simply never asked whether we possessed capabilities beyond what we displayed." The distinction was crucial, and every diplomat in the hall understood its implications. Humans had not violated any specific treaty terms by building ships with their own technology. They had not lied in any formal communication or diplomatic exchange. They had simply allowed the Council to make assumptions that served Earth's strategic interests. Dr. Foster's intelligence team continued their careful manipulation of the station's information systems, ensuring that the Council's complete dependency on their computer networks was becoming increasingly obvious. Every communication relay, every sensor feed, every defensive system was under human control, though they maintained the illusion of normal operation. "The legal framework is clear," announced Arbiter Kess, the Council's chief legal officer. Her crystalline form pulsed with different colors as she accessed galactic law databases. "No treaty violation has occurred. Human vessel construction using indigenous technology falls outside existing agreements. However, the implications for galactic security are unprecedented." Chancellor Thrace struggled to maintain his composure as the political situation spiraled beyond his control. For 30 years, he had managed the careful balance of power that kept hundreds of species from destroying each other. The sudden emergence of humanity as a major military force threatened to upset delicate agreements and ancient alliances. "The Council demands immediate inspection of all human facilities," he announced, hoping to regain some semblance of authority. "Full disclosure of technological capabilities, military assets, and industrial capacity. Transparency is essential for maintaining galactic stability." Admiral Chan's image reappeared on the main display, her expression polite but firm. "With respect, Chancellor, Earth operates under no obligation to submit to inspection. We are prepared to share information about our capabilities in the context of equal partnership, but we will not accept continued treatment as a subordinate species requiring supervision." The human fleet's formation shifted slightly, a subtle reminder that Earth now negotiated from a position of strength rather than dependency. Each ship maintained its position with precision that demonstrated advanced coordination capabilities, while their stealth technology made it clear that the Council had no real idea how many human vessels might be hidden throughout the galaxy. Counselor Vex's chittering reached a panicked pitch as the trade implications became clear. the economic disruption will be catastrophic. Human labor agreements, resource extraction contracts, shipping arrangements, everything will require renegotiation if Earth claims equal status. Exactly, Vasquez replied with a diplomatic smile. We look forward to establishing fair trade relationships based on mutual benefit rather than the current system of enforced dependency. Human worlds have much to offer galactic commerce, but not as client states providing cheap resources to more powerful species. The revelation of human capabilities had exposed uncomfortable truths about how the Council treated weaker species. The Melonians, forced to abandon their artistic culture for industrial labor. The Vakari, reduced from proud warriors to mercenary soldiers. The Korthani mining colonies, stripped of resources while their people lived in poverty. Earth's example suggested that any species might be concealing strength while planning their own liberation from Council control. Delegate Mora of the Peaceful Collective spoke for the first time, her plant-like form rustling with agitation. If other client species follow the human example, the entire structure of galactic civilization could collapse. Order requires hierarchy, strength requires acknowledgement of weakness. Admiral Chen's tactical display showed the deployment of human vessels throughout Council space, making it clear that Earth's preparation had been comprehensive and long-term. Hidden bases, concealed shipyards, and sleeper agents had been positioned across dozens of systems while the galaxy remained oblivious to humanity's true activities. Order requires justice, Chen replied firmly. Strength requires respect for the capabilities of others. Humanity has demonstrated that underestimating a species' potential can lead to strategic miscalculations with far-reaching consequences. Captain Rodriguez chose that moment to demonstrate human stealth capabilities more dramatically. The UES Shadowstrike appeared directly behind Chancellor Thrace's personal yacht, a vessel that should have been protected by the most advanced detection systems in the galaxy. The human ship remained in position for 30 seconds, close enough to disable the Chancellor's escape route, before vanishing again into invisibility. The message was unmistakable: human forces could strike anywhere, at any time, without warning. The Council's defensive systems had been rendered obsolete by technology they had never suspected existed. Impressive theater, acknowledged General Korax of the Hegemony military forces. The cybernetic warrior had built his reputation fighting against species that challenged Council authority. But theater does not win wars. Numbers matter. Industrial capacity matters. The Council commands thousands of worlds and millions of ships. Commander Park's fighter squadrons provided their own demonstration, engaging the station's automated defense systems in a mock combat exercise that revealed the sophisticated nature of human warfare doctrine. The pilots moved through defensive fire patterns with precision that made it clear they had studied Council military capabilities extensively. General, Park's voice came through the communication channel, your defense systems are optimized for threats that follow predictable attack patterns. Human combat doctrine emphasizes adaptation and improvisation. Your static defenses are designed to counter strategies that we would consider elementary mistakes. Dr. Wu's engineering teams had spent decades analyzing Council military technology, identifying weaknesses that alien designers had never considered. Human vessels could exploit those vulnerabilities because human thinking processes approached problems from angles that other species found difficult to comprehend. The tactical display showed detailed analysis of Council fleet capabilities, with human assessments of each species' strengths and limitations. The Zephyrian reliance on computational supremacy, the Eltarian dependence on traditional formations, the Hegemony's preference for overwhelming firepower, every major military force had been studied and countered. We know how you fight, Chen explained to the stunned assembly. We know your ships, your weapons, your tactics, and your limitations. This knowledge was not acquired through espionage or treaty violations. It was gathered through careful observation during 70 years of legal, diplomatic, and trade relations. The implications were staggering. Humanity had used their apparent weakness as cover for the most comprehensive intelligence operation in galactic history. Every cultural exchange, every trade negotiation, every joint research project had been an opportunity to gather information while revealing nothing significant about Earth's true capabilities. Ambassador Vasquez stood to address the assembly as the full scope of humanity's preparation became clear. Distinguished delegates, we stand at a crossroads. The old system, based on the assumption of human weakness and dependency, no longer exists. We can move forward as equals, building a galactic civilization based on mutual respect and fair cooperation. Or we can test whether the Council's military superiority is as overwhelming as you believe. The human fleet maintained its position around the Nexus station, neither threatening nor retreating. 300 visible ships represented just the beginning of Earth's space capabilities, and every delegate understood that humanity had revealed their strength by choice, not necessity. The species they had underestimated for 7 decades had just demonstrated the patience and planning ability to execute the most sophisticated deception in galactic history. The question now was whether the Galactic Council would adapt to this new reality, or whether their pride would drive them to test Earth's military capabilities in actual combat. Either way, the age of human subordination had ended, and the galaxy would never be the same. The debate that followed Ambassador Vasquez's ultimatum revealed the deep fractures that had always existed within the Galactic Council. Species that had chafed under the dominance of more powerful members saw humanity's revelation as an opportunity to challenge the existing order. Others viewed Earth's deception as a threat to everything they had built over millennia of careful political balance. Councillor Yith of the Korthani Mining Consortium was among the first to recognize the changed political landscape. Her crystalline form flickered between colors as she performed rapid calculations, assessing how human independence would affect her people's position in galactic commerce. The Korthani had been forced into subordinate status by species with superior military technology, but humanity's emergence suggested that apparent weakness might conceal hidden strength. If the humans possess such capabilities, she announced carefully, perhaps the Council should reconsider its assumptions about other client species as well. The Korthani people have accepted mining quotas and resource extraction agreements based on our supposed inability to defend our interests. This precedent suggests that such arrangements may require renegotiation. Chancellor Thrace felt the foundation of galactic order shifting beneath his feet. The system had worked for centuries precisely because weaker species accepted their subordinate status and stronger ones maintained their dominance through superior technology and military force. If every client species began questioning their agreements, the careful balance that prevented galactic warfare could collapse entirely. "Order," he commanded, his reptilian features twisted with frustration. "This assembly will not tolerate challenges to legitimate treaties and agreements. The Council's authority derives from proven capability to maintain peace and stability among thousands of worlds." Admiral Chen's voice cut through the political posturing with military precision. "Chancellor, with respect, the Council's authority has always derived from the ability to enforce compliance through superior strength. Today, Earth has demonstrated that such superiority cannot be taken for granted. We suggest that authority based on consent and mutual benefit would prove more durable than authority based on the threat of force." The tactical displays surrounding the assembly hall showed the continuing deployment of human vessels throughout Council space. Earth's fleet had not arrived alone. Intelligence networks, supply bases, and communication relays that had been positioned over decades were revealing themselves across hundreds of systems. The scope of humanity's preparation made it clear that this moment had been planned for generations. Dr. Foster's team demonstrated their control over the station's information systems by displaying classified Council documents that detailed the true nature of client-species relationships. Trade agreements that amounted to economic exploitation, military accords that reduced entire civilizations to mercenary status, and resource extraction treaties that stripped worlds bare while enriching Council members. These documents were acquired through legal access to Council databases, Foster announced from her hidden ship. Human diplomatic personnel have possessed appropriate security clearances for decades. We simply applied those clearances more comprehensively than the Council assumed possible. The revelation that humanity had accessed classified information through legitimate channels demonstrated another aspect of Earth's long-term strategy. Human diplomats, scientists, and traders had spent decades earning trust and gaining access while carefully concealing their true objectives. Every interaction had been part of a comprehensive intelligence operation disguised as normal diplomatic relations. Delegate Zamna of the Ethereal Collective spoke for many of the smaller species when she observed, "The humans have revealed that patient planning and careful deception can overcome apparent technological disadvantages. This precedent will encourage other species to pursue similar strategies rather than accepting subordinate status." General Korax of the Hegemony military forces understood the strategic implications better than most politicians. His cybernetic systems processed hundreds of tactical scenarios, each one showing the same troubling result. Human capabilities had been underestimated so severely that conventional military responses might prove ineffective. "The immediate question," he announced grimly, "is whether humanity's technological advancement represents a fundamental shift in galactic power balance. If other species possess similar hidden capabilities, the Council's military superiority becomes questionable." Captain Rodriguez provided a demonstration of human technological sophistication by revealing the true nature of Earth's stealth systems. Her ship, the UES Shadowstrike, became visible while simultaneously showing how it could mask the energy signatures of an entire fleet. Human stealth technology didn't just hide individual vessels, it could conceal military formations large enough to threaten entire star systems. Our technology operates on principles that Council science considered theoretically impossible, Rodriguez explained as her ship flickered in and out of visible space. Human research has focused on capabilities that other species dismissed as impractical or unworthy of investigation. The demonstration highlighted a crucial difference between human and alien approaches to scientific research. While Council species typically pursued technologies that built upon established knowledge, human scientists excelled at finding entirely new solutions to old problems. This divergent thinking had allowed Earth to develop capabilities that alien defensive systems were never designed to counter. Ambassador Vasquez seized the moment to present humanity's formal proposal for restructuring galactic civilization. The document, transmitted simultaneously to every delegate's personal communication device, outlined a new framework based on voluntary cooperation rather than enforced hierarchy. Earth proposes the establishment of a galactic partnership, replacing the current Council system with voluntary associations of equal members, she announced. Species would contribute to shared projects and mutual defense based on capability and interest, rather than obligations imposed by stronger neighbors. The proposal challenged fundamental assumptions about interspecies relations. Instead of client species serving dominant powers, the new system would allow each civilization to develop according to its own priorities while contributing to common goals through negotiated agreements. The model recognized that apparent weakness might conceal unexpected strength, making cooperation more valuable than domination. Counselor Prime Zethran of the Altarian Empire stood to voice the concerns of the established powers. His golden form radiated authority as he addressed the assembly. This proposal would eliminate the stability that has prevented galactic warfare for 1,000 years. Without clear hierarchy and accepted authority, competing species would destroy each other in endless conflicts. Admiral Chen's response carried the weight of human military capability behind it. Counselor Prime, the current system prevents open warfare by imposing the constant threat of overwhelming force against species that challenge established authority. Earth suggests that voluntary cooperation based on mutual benefit would prove more stable than compliance based on fear of destruction. The human fleet demonstrated their point by executing a complex redeployment that brought them into optimal positions for either defensive protection of the Nexus Station or systematic destruction of Council military assets. The maneuver was performed with precision that made it clear humanity possessed the capability to enforce their vision of galactic order if necessary. Commander Park's fighter squadrons provided escort for transport vessels carrying human diplomatic, scientific, and cultural representatives to every major delegation aboard the station. The message was clear: Earth was prepared to engage with every species on equal terms, offering the knowledge and capabilities they had developed during decades of secret advancement. "We come not as conquerors, but as partners," Park announced as his pilots demonstrated aerial maneuvers that turned routine escort duty into artistic displays of human piloting skill. Humanity offers friendship to species that seek mutual benefit, and deterrent capability to those who prefer the old system of domination through superior force. The political calculations were becoming clear to every delegate in the assembly. Humanity had positioned themselves as an alternative to Council authority, offering protection and partnership to species willing to abandon the current hierarchy. Client civilizations could choose between continued subordination to established powers or alliance with Earth's emerging interstellar presence. Chancellor Thrace made one final attempt to maintain the existing order. The Council has maintained galactic peace for centuries. Any change to established systems risks chaos and destruction on an unprecedented scale. Stability requires acceptance of proven authority. Ambassador Vasquez smiled with the confidence of a diplomat whose species had just fundamentally altered the balance of galactic power. "Chancellor, stability requires that authority be based on justice and consent rather than superior firepower. Today, humanity has demonstrated that even the most careful systems of control can be challenged by species with sufficient determination and patience." The human fleet maintained its position around the Nexus Station as the Council struggled to process the new reality. Earth had revealed capabilities that made them equals to any galactic power, while simultaneously offering an alternative vision of interspecies relations based on voluntary cooperation rather than enforced hierarchy. The age of human subordination had ended not with conquest or destruction, but with the revelation that apparent weakness could conceal strength beyond imagination. The galaxy would never again underestimate a species that claimed only modest capabilities, and the careful balance of power that had defined galactic civilization for millennia would be rebuilt on entirely new foundations. 300 human ships waited in perfect formation, their crews ready to defend their vision of the future or demonstrate the consequences of challenging Earth's emergence as a galactic power. The choice belonged to the Council, but humanity had ensured that whatever decision they made would be based on accurate assessment of human capabilities rather than the comfortable assumptions that had guided galactic politics for far too long.